My son blocked the doorway with both arms and said, "Dad, you are not coming in while my wife's family is here." I stood there looking at my own son guarding my own doorway. That is when I remembered the envelope sitting in my glove box, and I realized I already knew how this was going to end before he did. My name is Frank. I'm 61, retired from 30 years of HVAC maintenance for a school district, and up until 3 weeks before that doorway moment, my life was uneventful. My wife passed 4 years ago. My son Ryan is 33, married to Amanda for 2 years now. I liked her fine at first, polite, organized, always remembered how I take my coffee. It started with a phone call from my bank on a Tuesday afternoon. The woman on the line asked if I wanted to proceed with the home equity loan I'd applied for. I told her I hadn't applied for any loan. She got quiet, then asked me to come into the branch. I sat across from the manager, a guy named Pete who'd handled my accounts for years, and he turned his screen around. There it was, a loan application using my house as collateral. My house that's been paid off since before Ryan graduated high school. My signature was on the bottom of the form, except when I looked closer, it wasn't my signature. The letters curved wrong. It was close enough to fool someone glancing at it, but not close enough to fool the man who'd been signing his own name for 60 years. "Frank," Pete said, "there's a notary stamp on this. Did you go see a notary in the last month?" I hadn't. I told him that. I didn't say a word to Ryan. Not yet. I drove straight to the county recorder's office and pulled every filing with my name on it. There were two: the loan application and something else waiting behind it, a request to add a second name to the deed on my house. Not transferred yet, just sitting there, waiting on the loan to clear so it could move forward quietly. I looked up the notary listed on both documents. A name I didn't recognize, a stamp number I didn't recognize. I called the state licensing board the next morning, and after a long hold, the woman came back and said, "Sir, there's no notary registered under that name or that stamp number in this state. Someone had made her up entirely, just to put a stamp on paper that was going to take my house." I sat on all of this for 3 weeks without confronting anybody. Instead, I called a lawyer named Denise and handed her every page I had. She read through it once and said, "Frank, this is forgery. Someone built a fake notary credential specifically to get this past the bank without anyone asking questions." Her advice was simple: say nothing, let the bank's fraud department finish its work, let the paper trail tighten on its own. So I went about my Sundays like normal. I mowed my lawn, I had dinner with my sister, and the whole time, in the back of my glove box, sat a folder holding every filing, every fake stamp number, every piece of proof that something in my own family had gone very wrong. Then Ryan invited me over for a family dinner. Amanda's parents in town from out of state. The whole occasion built around impressing them. I drove over early to talk to him alone before everyone sat down, because whatever was coming, I wanted him to hear it from me directly instead of finding out some other way. He met me at the door before I could even get past the porch steps. He put both arms out like he was blocking a gate. "Dad," he said, "you are not coming in while my wife's family is here." I stood there looking at my own son guarding my own doorway, and something in his face told me he already half knew what I was going to say. Amanda came up behind him drying her hands on a towel, and when she saw my expression, she stopped moving. "Whatever this is," she said, "can it wait? There's a loan out on my house," I said, "and a fake notary stamp on the paperwork for it. I already reported it to the bank and the state licensing board." She didn't say anything right away. Ryan looked at her, then back at me, and I watched something behind his eyes crack open. "That's not what happened," he said, but his voice didn't have much behind it. I didn't argue with him standing on that porch. I just nodded, turned around, and walked back to my truck. I didn't need to win that conversation right then. The paperwork was going to do that on its own. 2 days later, Ryan called me crying. The bank's fraud department had flagged the loan before a dollar moved and frozen the whole file. Tracing the fake notary credential led straight to an application submitted from Amanda's own laptop, timestamped under her own home IP address. There was no confusion about who had built it. "Why didn't you just say something at the